Good morning, everybody. This is Tom with Weekly Gospel Reflection. Often people, you go through life and you ask yourself many things, because when you get older, you get wiser because of the things you've been through in your life. And people don't realize that that's something that just comes with age. And some people just never learn things. And there's a lot of times where, like myself, I didn't learn things until I'm in my 40s. I thought I knew everything. I didn't know anything. I still don't know anything. Everything is meaningless, right? If you go in Ecclesiastes and look at the whole chapter of when Solomon wrote some of that, everything's meaningless. Our parents, our grandparents, parents before that, when I pass, 30 years from now, it's not, people won't remember me other than my immediate family. So everything that I accomplished on this earth is accomplished by, buying whatever. If I bought land and house like this, and whatever you accomplish can be go bye, or it's still people really don't know who owned that land before. Can't take it with you. Anyone who loves their mother and father more than me. We're going to look at Matthew 10, verse 37. We're going to read just a little bit of this. This is very important. Anyone who loves his father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Anyone who loves his son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And anyone who does not take his cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. He who receives me, and who receives me, it receives the one who sent me. Anyone who receives a prophet because he is a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And anyone who receives a righteous man because he is a righteous man will receive a man's reward. And if anyone gives even a cup of cold water to these little ones because he is my disciple, I tell you the truth, he will certainly not lose his reward. So God is saying one thing. He says, love me or not. I have to tell you a story. When I was a young man, I was growing up as a child, of course, and sleeping. I had my own room. My brothers had their room together. And as a boy, you grow up and you see things and you don't really know if it's really true or not. Then you think that you're getting into high school and you either meet a little girl or as a girl meets a man, a little boy, and you're just in love with him. Well, what is love, right? What is love? Is it puppy love? Well, do you really know them? I'm a firm believer that you really have to get to know God to love him. You have to pray to him. You have to talk to him. It's not like you can just snap your fingers and you love God. God's going to help you in any given situation. He's going to help you find the way and make your own choice to love me or not. And that's what these verses are saying. Do you love me or do you not love me? If you're not willing to have me first in your life, you're not worthy of me. If you love your mother and father more than me, or if you love your wife or husband more than me, if you love your cars more than me or your money more than me, you're not worthy of me. And he basically says, whoever finds life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. I say in following God, if you lose your life, war, whatever, for the sake of Jesus Christ, you're going to surely live in his world and kingdom in heaven. You don't know him to love him, and you can't see him, but you know he's there. And when I was young, about 12 years old, I was laying in bed, and I used to see these things, shadows. And I saw them quite a bit in my life. I even see them still to this day. I see shadows. Shadows. Don't know what the shadows are. It's usually 99% of the times at night. I do see them during the daytime. I saw some yesterday. I thought maybe it's a problem with my eyes, and apparently it's not a problem with my eyes. I had my eyes checked back in the day and numerous times. Thought maybe something, in the retina or something would cause me to see the shadows or things like that. Well, it wasn't. It was just something. So I'm thinking this is my mindset. I've always had high anxiety. I always hated someone to criticize me on my job. I really hated to do that. So I never wanted to be criticized. I always wanted to be perfect in the eyes of my employers. I always wanted to do 100%. And as you go on, you're going to have employers that just don't like you. You're going to have people that just don't like you. Your environment, people in your world is not going to like you. People that you wake up every day and you do your thing every day, and people just aren't going to like you. They don't like the way you look. They don't like the way you talk. They don't like that you're happy. They don't like when you're sad. They don't like whatever. Well, in my case, people didn't like me because I was happy. I was happy all the time. When I'm on a job, I'm on the job. I don't bring my stuff home to work. I really never really had any problems. And what problems I had, I usually solved the problems. If I didn't like the situation I was in, I would change my environment. And sometimes the job would take over that, which cost me some good friends in my past and relationships, as you're dating someone. But sometimes, too, they have to understand that that's your job and that's what you do. So I would pray to God, get these shadows. What's going on with these shadows? And that's really when I started falling in love with God when I was a child, about 12. I would see them walk across my room, and they would be in different formats. They would be wearing a hat. It would be old people scrunch over with a cane. It would be actually line of people, just like this, like they're walking down the street, And it wouldn't be the same ones. So I said to myself, what is that? So what is that? Is it a dream? It's not a dream. So as I'm growing up, I can vividly still see them in my mind. But as I would sit there, I'd throw the covers over my head, being 12, and pray to the Lord, Lord, help me. What is this? What is this? What is this? And I got to know Heavenly Father. And it could have been something that the Lord was doing. It could have been something somebody else was doing. It could have just been something in life. It could have been something in my mind. I have no idea. That's when I started getting to know Jesus. I started reading the Bible. I started reading the book. And did I read the Bible in a tense that we understand it? No, I read it kind of like I would remember certain verses, but I would not go in depth in the Bible as I do now. You understand that? I mean, if you really read a verse, this verse I just said, if you take that in depth, you could talk a whole long time on just those verses about Jesus. And Jesus gave me that high anxiety, I guess. I don't know, to be who I am. So I still have the high anxiety today. And I have the high anxiety so much that I pray to the Heavenly Father. Now, am I a person to go down to the doctor and say, I want to take medication for this? No, I'm not. In fact, you can count, except for accidents, like I cut my head one time, I cut this hand. Maybe this many times I've ever been to the doctor in my life. Oh, jobs. I've been this many times to the doctor for jobs, meaning physical stress tests, blood tests. When I worked for Ecolab, they put me through all kinds of tests. Breathing, found out I was colorblind. There's so many things that I had to go to like 4 places to get even hired on that company. But it was one of the best companies I ever worked for in my life. They pay and they take care of you. And it's sort of like God. God, if you get into His company, into His world, that's exactly what He's going to do. And a lot of times, doing the physicals, the thing that I was doing, it's the same thing that God does to us sometimes. He puts us in situations that we have situations that happen to us. And we want to know whether or not we are true to God. Maybe God puts it there, but maybe God tests us. Or it's just maybe just life in general that we're going to being tested. The other day, NASCAR 500 was here, Daytona 500 was here, and I was tested that day because I could only go, it took me 45 minutes to go 1/4 of a mile. And so I was tested that day. And I, of course, as you know, I don't go up and down the highway just for the fun of it. I go to make money, to make a living. And it's so erratic on these jobs that you go up and down the road and you may not make $100 that day. And so I was getting frustrated. So as I'm dropping them off and everything, they could tell I was getting frustrated. And they said, it's all okay. So when I left, the guy tipped me a large amount of money. And not that he could see I needed it. He said in the note, he said, for your time in trouble, God is with you. And so it really got me thinking that God is with you, even in times of trouble. Was I praying to God? I was praying to God. God, what's going on with this line? Why is this bus going making a U-turn right in the middle of the road? And why are we here? But the president was coming in. So it was just a nightmare. So God does that also. He will put you in the Philippines, like I was in the Philippines for 12 years, 11 years. And I worked in the Philippines. People don't know that I worked. I never did just tell everybody I worked, but I had 4 or 5 YouTube channels, including the ones that my wife and my daughter had. I had to keep them going. I got them monetized. And as you know, they don't know the world of USA. So, you have to put on videos every day. You have to do this. You have to do that. So it's a constant thing there. But I know that all my troubles in my life, the Heavenly Father has been there for me. And so knowing God and knowing to love God, there's only way to get to know God. There's only one way to get to know God. It's right here in the Bible. All you got to do is read the Bible, and God is going to actually give you the guidance. There's something that, I said this last week, it's something that people don't really realize. Stress kills a lot of people. And if you're under the amount of stress in normal daily life, God can release that stress for you. Now, he releases a lot of stress for me because I constantly pray to him. The anxiety that I have, the nervousness, I used to shake when I'd find that the owner of the company would come visit my store, my supermarket, and I would be shaking. It should not shake when another human being is just a human being. It would be the same with me meeting Trump. I would shake, a high anxiety. Nervous, not sleeping the night before, just nervous. And I don't like that. I don't think God wants us to be like that. So I grab my Bible and I read it, and he calms me down, and it calms me down. And I think that that's what we all need to do. We need to go back to, you love God? Are you worthy of God? You have to answer that yourself. I have no idea. I'm not going to judge anybody. But I tell you this for sure, that if you take the time to learn God and learn who he is and listen to the words, I think you'll find that the love of God enhances in your heart and your life as you go on. I know a guy right now who has a YouTube channel. He's doing very well for himself, and I believe God is with him, and I believe he's a prophet. I will not say his name because I'm not really sure. I have to do some more inquiries in my mind to make sure. It seems that he has the ability to heal and all that. All of us have the ability to heal. All of us have the ability to do anything. Remember, just the size of a mustard seed can move a mountain. God says as long as you have faith. As you know, as God's going to save a lady, I'm sorry I can't remember her name, in the house, and there's an elder lady following that had been bleeding for 12 years. And she says, if I could only touch his cloak, if I could just get to his cloak and touch it, I will be healed. And as she got close to him, she ended up touching his cloak. Of course, Jesus knew it. Jesus knows everything. He knew it. He turned around and says, because of your faith, you're healed. So that's the thing that we got to realize, our faith. Now, that's where I'm short in. I think everybody's short in that. When times get really tested and you're really tested and you're to your limit and everything else, do you have faith you're going to get out of it? Well, it's easy to get in that black hole and the rabbit hole, and you can't come back out. So how do you get out of the hole? There's only one way to get out of that hole. And I do that to get out of if I go in a hole. Now, do I go in a hole? Sure. I'm human. We all go in them. We all have our reasoning for going in them. Many different reasons. Things don't go your way. You go in the hole. You don't get what you want. You go in the hole. You think you had this all solved, and it comes back to haunt you. You go in the hole. How do you get back out of it? How long do you stay in it? It's entirely up to that situation, and it's up to you. And in a lot of cases, you may not have a choice but be in the hole longer than you thought. Because it's not because of what it could be a mental thing. It could be something here. It could be medicine that you need. It could be many different things. And so you have to make that decision on your own. And I know that I've done that also. I made that decision, but I know that I love God. and I know He loves me because He takes care of me every day. God bless, and I'll see you guys next time on Weekly Gospel Reflections.